Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 2 playthrough. It is time for us finally to start going to the Disney worlds. Yay!
It's gone.
So, as with the first game, we have to use the gummy ship to get to the worlds, but unlike the first game, we actually have fun stuff happening in the gummy ship levels this time. They're kind of much more shooter-based, which is great, really. So I believe that we heard a couple of tracks there. I think we heard Gearing Up. This is Blast Off. I'm not sure whether we've heard Shipmeister's Shanty, but that is in here somewhere. And yes, it's time for us to begin the gummy ship levels, which are just so much better than they were in the original game. So much better. They're just so much more involved as well. It's just brilliant. So basically, the goal is kill as many enemies as possible and just cause chaos, really. It's just so cool. Also, right now I'm being really stupid, in the sense of what I should be doing is holding X and kind of locking on to do stuff, because kind of mashing the X button really wrecks your fingers. After a while you just go slightly crazy. I believe this track here is called Asteroid Attack. I think it's the same for the first two gummy ship levels in the game. Now, the medal thing that you can see in the top left hand corner, basically as you kill more of the ships, it'll keep improving. However, if you get hit, you get auto knocked down a stage. So it can get slightly frustrating, especially in the later ones if you don't have a good gummy ship and or are just not quite that good at the gummy ship levels. I mean, thankfully there aren't that many that are so hard that you aren't going to get through them, but yeah, I think something like this in Kingdom Hearts 3 would be awesome. Just maybe change the element of how it's graded, because I have to say I do believe that the grading system is unnaturally harsh, in that it takes a while to build up to the next rank, but then a single hit will knock you down. It should really just be based on overall performance. Like, just do it at the end. Also, these things can get quite chaotic. And music here is Crossing the Finish Line, which is always quite fun. Now, you can get missions, and almost at the end of every one you'll get new blueprints for gummy ships, which you're going to need to use in later ones, because they are better than your current ones, if that made any sense. But yeah, I like the gummy ship segments in this game. It's just sort of, there are some improvements to be made on the whole, I think. So it's time for us to visit our first Disney World. Oh, I'm so excited. It's the time this time, it's time for the Land of Dragons.
See that, Mulan? It's Shan Yu, leader of the Hun army. Come on, girl. This is your big chance. I can see it now. Fa Mulan whoops public enemy #1. You're gonna be famous. I'm talking A-list.
Mushu, I'm not sure. I haven't even joined the army yet. I have to take my father's place to preserve the Fa family honor. I just hope I don't get discovered.
Whatever. You're just scared. Admit it.
Aren't you?
Huh?
Let's get the jump on him.
Gorge, maybe we better look before we leap.
Here comes the start of Goofy basically giving very sage advice throughout the majority of the game, actually.
Is that Mushu?
That's right. I know you heard of me. I'm little, lethal, and legendary. Now y'all scram before I get my dragon dander up.
Hey, Mushu, we missed you.
Yeah, well, you better hope I miss you, or else you're Sora, Donald, Goofy.
Do you know them?
Know them? Man, we used to kick all kinds of bad guy butt together. Yeah, you know I help these guys out of a lot of tight spots, because I'm a mighty dragon, right?
Something like that. And you are?
I'm Mulan. No, I mean...
Ping!
Mulan Ping.
Just Ping. I am Ping, son of Fazu.
You know Mushu?
Mushu's one of my family's guardians.
We didn't know we were borrowing somebody as important as a family guardian.
Yeah, that's right. And that puts you three up to your eyeballs in debt to Ping here. Well, guess what, kiddies? It's payback time.
Mushu.
Ah, they don't mind. Ain't that right?
Sounds fair.
See, Ping here was just on his way to join the Imperial Army. We gotta go find the other recruits over at the training camp.
Would you join us? It'll be easier to fit in if I'm with guys like you.
What do you mean, fit in?
Well, don't worry about that.
You're pretending to be a boy, aren't you?
Huh? You're a girl?
You didn't notice?
Not me.
I think it's working.
I don't know. Those two would fall for anything.
I'm right here.
Ah, it's so fun. So, Land of Dragons is pretty awesome. Music you're hearing right now is the field theme, which is the Home of Dragons. And, oh, I love this place. Bits of it annoy me, but I love Mulan, and Mulan came out in 1998. Oh, good grief. I was only 4. So, it was directed by Tony Bancroft and Barry Cook, and starred Ming-Na, Eddie Murphy, B.D. Wong, Miguel Ferrer, Harvey Fierstein, Beth Fowler, George Takei, and Pat Morita. And I really do like Mulan. We'll go into more stuff about it later on. But also, we now have Mulan, well, Ping, in the party. And it's awesome. Now the reason I'm bringing Goofy in is because I want to be able to use Valor Form. Because it's very, very, very helpful. So, Mulan is voiced by Ming-Na Wen, who voiced her in the original movie. And she's been in quite a few things. Most famous roles are Mulan. She was Chun-Li in the Street Fighter movie. She also voiced Dr. Aki Ross in Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, so the main character. And she was Dr. Jingmei Chen in ER. And more recently, and this is where I distinctly recognise her from, she's Agent Melinda May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is just really cool. And then Mushu, while voiced by Eddie Murphy in the film, is here voiced by Mark Moseley, who is basically most known as a sound double for Eddie Murphy. So, he voices Mushu in Mulan 2, and well, he basically voices Mushu in everything except the original Mulan, because that's where Eddie Murphy was. But he also voices several characters in Shrek 2, and sings in Eddie Murphy's place in the Shrek in the Swamp karaoke dance party in the original Shrek.
Hey, no cutting.
And apparently he's also sound doubled Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's also King Minos in God of War 3.
Space in line.
I wonder what they're serving for lunch today.
Knuckle sandwiches.
That does it.
God, you guys, you've only just got here and you're already fighting. Good grief, guys, calm it down. Otherwise it would just be dishonour. Dishonour on your whole family, dishonour on you, dishonour on your cow. I still love that line so much. It's brilliant.
Knock it off.
Knock what off?
You punched me.
Cut it in line.
What a shrimp!
Who you calling a shrimp, Panda Lips? I'm a bona fide guardian dragon.
Let's just get back in line, okay?
Whose side are you on? I just got slugged.
Want some more?
Soldiers, get back in line.
The captain.
What are they?
Heartless. Oh, yeah? Ping,
And so,
hope you're ready.
it is time for us to take on some Heartless. And also some more voice actor roles. So, Yao, who's the kind of plump guy in red, he is voiced by Harvey Fierstein, who has been in, I think, a lot of kind of smaller roles, things. But he also won a Tony Award for his own play Torch Song Trilogy, and he's also performed Edna Turnblad in Hairspray. Then you've got Gerd Watanabe, who voices Ling, who's the skinny one. And I can't remember what else he's been in. And then you've got Chiempo, who is voiced by Jerry Tondo, who hasn't really done too much else other than Chiempo. And then I believe we heard General Li Shang speak, but he is voiced by B.D. Wong, who also voiced him in the movie. And I think he's most well known for his role in Madama Butterfly. It's an opera thing. He was Song Liling. He's also played Dr. George Huang on Law & Order Special Victims Unit, Father Ray Mukada on Oz, Henry Wu in the first Jurassic Park film, and he's also apparently in Jurassic World, which is coming out at some point. And yeah, he's been in other things as well, although he isn't the singing voice for General Li Shang. No, that role is Donny Osmond, which I still find rather amusing. And even better is that Shang was voiced by Jackie Chan in, I believe it was the Chinese dub, which is just great. So, the Land of Dragons is pretty awesome. I really like the design of the world, but there is one element of how it works which is just evil, especially for this early on in the game. So you have to take on missions. Basically, the majority of these missions basically equate to kill the Heartless. However, there is a horrible thing, which is the morale gauge, or gorge, or however you want to pronounce it. Basically, it goes down as time passes, and the only way of kind of refilling it is by killing Heartless and collecting the orbs that drop out of them. Now, in most of the missions, this isn't too much of a problem. You have more than enough morale to deal with things. However, in 2 of them, at least, it becomes a significant problem, because it's just a pain, really. Because if the morale gauge goes out, then you have completely failed the mission, and it basically gives you a game over. Which is ridiculous. And it's not like the enemies you're facing are particularly challenging. The only thing that is a challenge is the morale gauge. That's it. So it's just like, why do you do this to me? I should probably also say that the things that are kind of doing the whole zombie flying thing are called Night Walkers, I believe. They're slightly annoying. They're not the most annoying enemy in the Land of Dragons. Oh no, we will meet them eventually. But even like the final mission of this part, or maybe actually this mission the way we meet them. But they're like ridiculously hard for so early on. I think they expect you to go towards the other world, partly because I think it comes first on the soundtrack. It may also be that it has a slightly lower battle level. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, you're gonna have a challenge this early on. Oh, there he is. It's the Assault Rider. Now these guys are absolute brilliant fodder for Valor form. If you want a nice easy ride on the Assault Riders, use Valor form, because it just beats them up much quicker than you possibly can on your own. And also it tends to kind of frequently allow you to cut through their attacks, which are quite painful. The Assault Riders are easily the hardest enemy you are going to face at this point in the game. Like, they are stupid. Now, something that you can see here is that if you finish a mission with Valor form still intact, then when it goes into the cutscene, you will retain Valor form. This is something that I'm going to try and make expert use of in the end of the worlds. In the sense of, I'm going to try and end a world for the cutscene so that we are in a form. Just because it gives a bit of variety, and also it does look kind of cool. And also it's not as easy as you would think to pull off, because it requires you to not use your forms or summons when we eventually get summons until the end of the fight, and you've got to do it with enough time remaining on your drive gauge to kind of have it at the end of the battle when you perform the finishing blow. It's not easy, but it's fun. Now, this is the first really difficult mission. Basically, you need to run around the camp and beat 8 Heartless. Really frustratingly, the camp's relatively big, and if you kind of screw up, you are screwed, basically. Because the morale gauge goes down so quickly, it's unreal. Like, even just the slight bit of stuff that you get from killing the Heartless, it does not heal it up enough to make this nice and easy. This is kind of easily the most frustrating one yet. There's one which we are going to come across pretty much immediately afterwards, which is even more frustrating, because it's longer. But you'll probably be doing this numerous times until you actually manage to succeed. Thankfully the Heartless are easy to kill, so it is just a case of finding them, but I don't like it that much. It's absolutely wonderful when you no longer have to suffer with the morale gauge, and that pretty much happens after our next mission. And then you can explore to your heart's content, and not have to worry about beating Heartless and running out of steam. So, now we are able to get our final mission, which is interesting. So I think we may be using an AP boost now. You can get quite a lot of them throughout the game, and generally it's best practice to use them on Sora, because as helpful as some of the things you can put on Donald and Goofy, Sora is your primary character, and really he's the one that you need to be upgrading. So the more AP you can give him, the better. Because, like, just seriously, some of the abilities that Sora gets are just far more useful, and the more AP you have, the more abilities you can put on Sora, so it helps. Now, we are, as soon as I've finished beating up these Heartless, because it really needs to be done. Because you really do want to level up as much as possible. Generally, you're able to get to, oh gosh, a couple of levels above where you were at the start of the world by the end. That sounds very kind of patronising and stupid, but it is worth saying. As you get kind of further into the game, what I tended to find is that you go in being underleveled for the world, and by the time you've finished, you're kind of maybe one level higher than where you, than the world's level cap thing. Basically, the level recommendations for the worlds. And something that is, you might want to know, is that it does change depending on whether you're playing easy, normal, or hard. So, the level recommendation for easy is very low, and then it kind of rises as you kind of go up the level, go up the difficulty levels. I'm just blathering today. It's not going particularly well, is it? Either way, it is time for us to take on our final mission, which is head to the mountain summit, which is arguably the hardest one in the entire game. Basically what you need to do is you need to kind of push your way forward through the mountain. Unfortunately, it's very big. Doing the rock shatter command doesn't always kind of hit, because if you get hit doing it, then you are kind of knocked out of doing the quick time event, which then makes it ridiculously hard. The general tactic to get through this as painlessly as possible is to just kind of run. Don't bother about the Heartless too much, because it's just going to end badly for you. And I do mean that seriously. So you've just got to try and keep the morale gauge up as much as possible if that is required, but also just run for the end, because you really need to be quick on this one. So I don't know whether I mentioned it yet, but the battle theme for this wonderful world is called Fields of Honor. And it's quite cool. And thankfully it has been completed. Oh, I thought that was going to take me more tries than it did, because I got it first try, which I was quite proud of, but yeah, I was not expecting that one. But also, it's time for us to move onward and progress in the Land of Dragons. In terms of the story linking with the movie, we're currently at the bit where they kind of were singing "A Girl Worth Fighting For." I like that song. I like most of the songs in Mulan, actually. They're really good. But in the next part, we will see what is beyond the summit, and hopefully save China. That's generally going to be a good target, I think.